What people do is they don't know who's interested, and they will spend a lot of money to start with, say, on a campaign. They'll waste a lot of money because they don't actually know the right kind of people that are clicking in and engaging. Whereas if you spend less and start slow and start to understand who's engaging and then start to warm the audience up so they start to understand the product and like it and trust it, then when you actually know who's interested, you can double down and spend your money in the right places and get better results.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Fitness Founders Podcast. I'm Kevin Mannion, VP Marketing here at Glofox. This week, Anthony and Tara talk to Jake Anderson, CEO and founder of One Life Social. One Life Social is helping wellness and fitness businesses around the world attract new members through social media and sales best practice. Jake talks about making sacrifices for business success, where and how to invest marketing resources, and if you really need a salesperson in your gym. Okay, let's have a listen.
We're delighted to be joined by Jake Anderson from One Life Social Media. We've been working with One Life Social Media here at Glofox for a while, and we're absolutely delighted to have Jake on the line. They're the best at what they do in the industry. They work exclusively with fitness studios and gyms, helping them to ramp up their leads and conversions through their membership acceleration programs. Very welcome to the podcast, Jake.
Thanks, Anthony, mate. Good to catch up with you again. We're really happy to be on it as well, and honoured to be on it. So it'd be good to go into a bit more detail about, some of the challenges and some of the things that we've learned over the last 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, I think, the area that you're in is something that we get asked the most about by all our customers, and it's definitely something that everybody is struggling with. Nobody can ever have enough new business coming into their studio or gym. So before we dive into sort of the meat of our discussion today, it'd be great to learn a little bit about your background, how you came to start One Life.
My background actually is not a fitness background. So I left the UK when I was 21, went to America coaching football after I graduated university, and then I ended up going into doing some photography and traveling Southeast Asia, like the usual run that a lot of people do when you graduate, which was fun. And then I got to Australia with no real plan, and I was with a few friends at the time, and we were like, well, we haven't got a lot of money left, and we were doing a lot of random jobs in Australia. So I basically decided either I'm going to get sponsored and stay, or I'm going to go back to the UK. One of my friends got a role in recruitment and got sponsored, so I decided that I was going to go down that route and see what I thought to recruitment. So I ended up getting a role offered in Melbourne. So I worked in Melbourne for like 18 months in recruitment, and then my friends decided that they wanted to move back to the UK, but I wasn't quite ready to go back to the UK. So I just decided that I was going to leave Melbourne. I'd made some commission in recruitment. I went traveling on my own, and I went to Japan, Philippines, India, travelled Australia, travelled New Zealand, and then I got back to the UK, and again kind of ran out of money and spent all the commission. And then the company in Melbourne that I left, I'd done pretty well for them, so they offered me a job and sponsorship again to go back to Sydney. So I went to Sydney and worked for them for 2 years, and did really well. Basically built a desk from scratch for that business, and it was turning over like $1 million revenue a year. And then I left after 2 years. I got my permanent residency and I left that company. And then I decided I was going to start my own recruitment company. Set up my own recruitment company with a friend who we used to work with as well. And for the first 6 months, we actually worked out of an F45 with no windows, with 2 phones and 2 laptops. And we got the business to a point where we had enough money to obviously get an office and actually start growing. Got to the 12-month point, and we basically sold $1 million between 2 guys in a room. But I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't very happy. I had a lot going on in terms of like making a decision where I was going to stay. And I was long-term. I wanted to go back, be close to family. I just decided that, it wasn't about the money really. I used to go to F45 every day training. I was like, I want to do something within fitness. So I just decided I broke up with my ex-girlfriend. I left the business, sold my shares in the business, left Australia, left all my mates, and went to Thailand. This was probably just over 2 years ago. And then when I got to Thailand, I was considering opening a gym. I came here, I was training. I was like, maybe I'll open F45, I'll open a gym. But really, when I got here, I was like, well, nobody actually knows about some of the best gyms in the world that I'm training at. So I was like, well, I think I can actually help gyms grow all around the world. But obviously, I need to learn how to do that. So while I was traveling, I started learning self-development stuff, going out of the way to actually learn as much as I could. Then I got back to the UK, which was probably around just after Christmas, after doing about 6 months at different gyms around the world. And then I literally just went into the process of setting everything up, moved to London, and then set the company up. And then literally moved into a flat, lived on my own in London, was in like a very far out of London, about 45 minutes out, and literally just got my head down and started working. And then that was the point when I was like, well, I need to make this business work. I've got a lot of costs. I've gone from being probably in the top 3% of earners in Australia to being having no money in England and really not settled in yet in England. So it's quite a tough period in my life, but it was also a big learning experience because I knew that I only had one option, was to learn and learn quick. So I just basically ran around London, met as many people as I could, and the strategy was that if I can sign the best gyms, then in the future that we should be able to work with a lot of other gyms. So that was basically the start of the business, and I did everything on my own for probably 4 months, and that's when we started hiring. So within just over 12 months now of being live, we've got a team of 9, and before that, obviously, it was just me on my own just over 12 months ago. So it's been a pretty crazy year, but what we're trying to build really as a business is to actually help gyms grow. Like, the whole point of the business is that I can use my business experience that I've got before to actually help gyms grow. But the other side of it is that I actually love going to the gym, and I love the effect it has on my body. So how can I help more people get into fitness? And the way I can do that is by generating more awareness on social, because that is really where the attention is right now. It's great for a gym owner, but it's also great for the consumer to get fitter and feel good. So that's my why, as to why I set the company up, and really why I want it to grow and work in a lot of different markets as well. So I hope that kind of answers the question.
Well, look, congratulations on all of that. Like, to do all that in such a short time, and to have the level of clients that you have, it's just super impressive. And we, as I said at the start, we've been so impressed with you guys here at Glofox. So I think it'd be good maybe at this point for you to give a little bit of an explanation around the exact type of services you provide. What type of business you target. I know you mentioned a little bit about that already, and just maybe a flavour of some of the results that you're getting as well.
Yeah, definitely. So really what we do, our whole process is that, it's called the Membership Accelerator. We also do video content for gyms as well. But the main product that we offer is the Membership Accelerator. And that's a system that we've built from learning about the problems and the challenges and the insights in the industry across, marketing and sales. But really the system that we've created is about using Facebook and Instagram as a platform, because that's where the attention is. That's where, at the moment, you can really measure your results. You can get value for money. You don't have to spend a lot of money to reach a lot of people. You can do retargeting, which is basically, you can start to follow people around that are basically close to your location. We can go into that in a bit more detail later. And at the moment, the way Facebook and Instagram are set up, there's not that many big businesses that are spending a lot of money on it. So local small businesses can win on those platforms and not spend that much money and reach the right people and target the right people and generate an ROI quite quickly. So that's kind of the front end, is that we will generate awareness using video content and take people through a story of that product in that local area if they live or work close to a studio. If they're interested, then we can start to go back at them with more content and different offers as to what the studio wants to offer to get more people through the doors. But then we take them through a process from social. So the consumer, we would take them through a process to actually generate higher conversions from social than, say, a website. So we'd use a sales funnel, we'd use landing pages, and we'd use a process after it to actually get higher show rates, to actually bridge the gap between somebody going to a landing page, giving the details, to actually coming into the gym. And then when people come into, like a new lead goes into a gym, we also actually provide some insights and sales training to gyms to actually help them convert more show-ups as well, because there is a process to it. And you do have to have, a strong sales process and have the right systems in place, like obviously what you guys have built with Glofox is going to really change the industry, in my opinion. So really what we do is we will help a gym generate awareness in the local area. So the biggest challenges that we've seen so far within the industry, probably the top 8, is that number 1's awareness, and nobody knows about the studio. This is what gym owners have told us. Number 2 would be that lead generation is a big problem. So not enough leads are actually coming into the studio. So they're getting between maybe 10 to 50 leads a month, and they're maybe getting 25% showing up. Number 3, lead nurturing. So they haven't actually got the time to actually manually text and email every lead back that comes through. Number 4, sales. Gyms are struggling to actually get people in the door and then convert them into members. Number 5, lead management. So this is obviously something where Glofox will definitely solve this problem around that leads are all over the place and they don't know where each person is in the sales process. Front end websites, there's loads of people going to a website, but not many of the traffic are converting into leads. Reselling and retention, gyms can see who's joining, but they don't know who's leaving. So they're not really growing. Number 8 would be short rates. So the actual leads are not coming in when they apply. So there's a number of reasons around all of those challenges. But if you can really start to tailor and target the right people that live or work within 1 to 2 miles of a gym, and start storytelling to those people, then you've got a much better chance of getting more people to show up. You've got a much better chance of actually increasing overall sales and growth. So that's really what we look to do: get high show rates, help the gym sell more, but also then retain people longer because they actually live or work close, which means it's convenient for the consumer as well.
Yeah, I think like the thing that stands out for me there is, and obviously we're going to deep dive into some of the kind of things that you mentioned there, but it's the systems and processes that people need to get in place, in order to make their whole business more efficient. And I think a lot of people when they start fitness studio or gym, their passion is, it's fitness, it's training people, it's making an impact in their lives, and then that enthusiasm gets them so far. And then they realize, actually, no, this is like any other business and I need to fill it, with new leads on one end and then convert them along a sales funnel as well. And I think it's at that point usually where a fitness studio or a gym will either fail or succeed if the person can move to the next level and create normal everyday business processes like any other business. So like the fact that you're in the marketplace, helping people to do that, like, it is great. And I think, I've seen the impact that you've had on a lot of businesses. I think, where you started as well in terms of like the attention, where people are. And, you mentioned Facebook and Instagram. And I think, that's obviously a great starting point because everybody is on it. People are familiar with it anyway. And as you said, like the data and the analytics that are on it so good. So I think that's a nice segue into our next section where Tara, my co-host here, is going to maybe do a little deep dive on Facebook and Instagram ads with you. And over to you, Tara.
Brought the marketer in to talk about marketing things. And I actually think, what you were saying is kind of the perfect lead into this because, like Anthony mentioned, we're all users of these platforms, but looking at them as marketing platforms is a completely different beast. Like you need to think about them in a business context, and coming from a user perspective to a business perspective is kind of, I'm sure, a sticking point for a lot of people that are in the fitness industry. So, maybe if we could actually start with the basics, like how do you think about, how should a fitness person be thinking about Facebook and Instagram advertising as opposed to, when they were just a user?
Right now, the attention is on Facebook and Instagram and mobile devices. So 90% of the traffic or 90% of leads that we get come from mobile devices for gyms. So you need to make sure that the whole process for a consumer is mobile centric, but also led by video content, because that is basically the two most powerful things that are helping social media grow. So that's where the attention is. Like if you look at traditional marketing compared to social media marketing, then, for a local business, for a local gym, let's just say, a gym in Dublin, if they decided to spend £1,500 on a billboard or flyers, then that's not where the attention of the consumer is right now. So when somebody walks down the road, they're on the phone. So when they get given a flyer, it's kind of invading probably their space. Whereas if you can start to show them the right content on the platforms they're looking at, then you're starting to kind of, without them really realizing it, they're starting to actually understand what your brand is. And once they click into one ad, you can start to obviously get them with more content and more ads. So it's a bit more subtle, and it's much more targeted because you actually know who's interested. And you can target the people that actually live or work in your location. Whereas when you fly in or when you're using billboards, you can't really track it, you can't measure it. But you also don't know if you're actually targeting the right people that live or work or are interested in fitness, or the right age range that would actually come to your gym or fitness studio. Value for money, like I can pretty much guarantee the best ROI you'll get, or like in terms of cost per lead, will be from Facebook and Instagram if you know how to use the platforms correctly. I'll give you an example. Like we've worked with there's a gym in Norwich, so regional location in the UK, a fitness space that we work with, and they were pretty skeptical about going down the route of social. They've always done flyering. They're spending £1,500 on flyers and getting 30 leads a month. And I was like, you can definitely get, better results than that with what we do. So give it a go. Within four months, they've had 1,000 leads and they've spent £2,000.
That is quite the increase.
So they're getting leads for £2 compared to leads for 1,500 divided by 30, whatever that would be.
My math isn't great, so
and the leads that we're getting probably weren't like targeted. They're probably not people that are the right age range that live or work close to the location. And any sales process from social takes 6 to 8 touch points. So people need to see that product again and again and again in the feed to finally get it ingrained in their brain. Like if you think about a football pitch or a football ground and you're like watching a game, then around the pitch there's loads of like Toyota or Etihad or any of the brands, but you don't go to a game or you watch on TV and go like, I'm going to book a flight or I'm going to buy a car. But every time you see these brands, it's psychologically going into your brain. So where are people at the moment? The attention is on Instagram and Facebook. Where are you going to get those touch points, those platforms? How are you going to build your awareness in the local area, those platforms? And then it's about taking them through the actual process to actually get them into the studio. So that's the most important thing. And then, retargeting, which we kind of went into there, is so powerful because anybody that clicks on an ad means that you can basically follow them around, not just on those two platforms, but you can actually, target them on different apps that a consumer would use on the mobile device as well. Other things like, Facebook, the data from Facebook is across Messenger, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram. So let's just say an F45 studio in Dublin. If somebody's typing F45, like have you been to F45 before, into WhatsApp, that gives us an opportunity as an agency to then potentially target them on Facebook because they brought F45 into WhatsApp.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is
and
cool.
There's just so many more things that these social media companies are consistently coming out with to make what they do that much more powerful, and therefore what you do that much more powerful. And it's it's a little daunting to try to figure out the best way to go about it. But you've touched on some really good. Retargeting is a huge one, and people can get tons of potential just from the fact that somebody visited their website and they can now follow them around.
Yeah, it's like a good one is always for a gym, especially, is like people might go to a landing page. We put a Facebook pixel into a landing page and to a website, which gives us the opportunity then that any traffic that goes to those sites but don't convert means that we can then go back and follow them with more content. But the good thing with that is even if they don't convert straight away, you build up an audience, and the people that are converting, then you can basically tailor your messages to the people that haven't converted yet and be like, you haven't taken your trial yet. Why don't you come in? Look at these guys having a great time. So you can really tailor the message depending on where that consumer is in the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And so much more powerful than just throwing a bunch of flyers at a wall. Right.
And it's time as well. It's time, isn't it, for staff going out and, you're going to pay for the collateral, you're going to pay for the flyers, you're going to pay for someone to give them out effectively, hopefully. You can't really measure how many people come in off the flyers. So yeah, times have changed, and it's definitely at the moment the most time effective and the most cost effective place to actually advertise for local business, which won't last because soon as big companies start actually changing their techniques from plowing all the money into TV and traditional techniques like billboards or flyers, when they start spending more money on social, then the price of ads are going to go up. So now is a golden age for local businesses to still win, because there's not that many people actually spending crazy amounts of money on Facebook and Instagram yet.
Yeah, absolutely. A place where you can actually stand out, as it were.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Great. Well, as far as the targeting, is there any other points that you think gyms need to be aware of when they're thinking through how to get people in their local market? I think locality is a big one as well. As far as, Facebook knows where people live, which that's sort of horrifying when you think about it. Is there anything else that you think is important for them to keep in mind?
Yeah, definitely. So we speak to a lot of gyms, I've spoken to hundreds of gyms, and a lot of gyms will say, yeah, I'm running ads at the moment, and I'll go into the actual detail, and they might be boosting a post instead of running an actual ad in, say, the back end of Facebook. So there is a difference. There's certain things that you can do with a boosted post that are similar to a paid ad, like age and gender targeting, interest targeting, location targeting, but it's not that specific, the location targeting, and then like, comment, shares. But when it comes to ads, then there's about another 10 things that you can do with ads that you can't do with a boosted post, which makes it tailored and targeted. And probably the most important one is what you touched on there, Tara, is geo-targeting. So how are you going to, if you've got a gym and maybe you're not on, the high street, how are you going to make sure everybody's aware and knows you exist? And it's by targeting people on their mobile device, within 1 mile of people that live or work in that location at the right age ranges that would come into the gym. That way you're going to use your ad spend, effectively, and you're going to start to work out who's interested, and then you can start to optimize off that as well. So people are actually logged into Facebook and Instagram on their phone 90% of the time, which means you can target everybody that's either in that area often, or they live, close to that postcode. So it's quite granular in terms of how targeted you can go in terms of that geolocation, and then it's a process of working out who's engaging in the videos that we're putting out there for them on social, and looking at the data of who's actually converting. And then it's about looking at optimizing the best performing ad sets and audiences. And what I mean by that is, most gyms at the moment that we work with, females between maybe 25 to 35 probably perform the best and come in at the cheapest cost per lead. So if a gym has a really small budget, then we need to really keep an eye on how much men are costing at certain age ranges, how much women are costing, and then really spending the money effectively for that gym.
So yeah, Jake, you actually you touched on it, but retargeting I think is a huge potential for social media. Could you go into exactly what you mean by that? Like what is involved in that process?
When we work with a gym, we usually always run awareness at the start to actually get them run awareness in the local area, which is actually cheap for the client in terms of how much they spend, how many people they reach. Then we look at the data off, say, a video, how long people are engaged in that initial video. So say people watch the video for 25% or 50% or 75%, then we'll start to understand who's watching the video and how engaged they are with the product. At that point, we'll look at the age ranges of men and women, and then we'll go back and retarget. And retarget basically means that you can go back at the right people with the next video and maybe different copywriting and an offer. Because really what you don't want to do when it comes to paid advertising is try and sell at people that don't understand what the product is. Similar to, would you propose on first date? Probably not. So it's like there's an etiquette to social, and you have to kind of build up that know, like, trust with the audience first before they're going to be ready to actually trust you and actually give you their details in exchange for an offer. So retargeting really is about the fact that you can really hone in on the people that are engaged, that are getting warmer, that are starting to understand your products, and you can keep going back with, say, more video content or images or offers to actually get them to actually convert and come into your studio. Another really cool part of it is that the traffic from social, the most important thing about traffic from social is that you convert the data. Really, you're paying for the data. So how are you going to convert the data? And that's by using a really mobile optimized landing page. And most websites that we see probably convert like 1-2%, whereas our landing pages convert between probably 10 to 70 to 80%. We've had landing pages that for F45 that have had traffic from social, 80% is converted on a landing page because of the way that it's set up. But people that don't convert, or people that go there and maybe they're not ready to buy, then what we usually do then is we can go back with like tailored messages at them because we know they're very close to giving the details, but they weren't quite ready. So then you go back and you can tailor a message at those consumers that are close to actually buying the product. And you can go back and be like, hey guys, we know you're close, we know you're interested. Look at these guys really enjoying the trial. And then you have a picture of people in the gym in the session. And that really starts to tailor the consumer's journey, and you're going to get better results in the long run as well. So that's retargeting is really important. Geolocation is really important. Who you target, the right kind of people, and then optimizing to actually bring down the cost per lead. They're the three most important.
Yeah, for me, that's the real power in online and in social, because traditionally, like when you created an ad campaign for TV or radio, you had your ad and you had no way of knowing, did this person like the ad? Were they, thinking about buying the product? And you literally just had to keep serving the same ad. Well, now it's like, okay, this person has shown an interest. They've put their hands up. So now I know I can send them something a little bit more convincing or an offer that they might need just to get them over the line. And I think in something like fitness, that just makes so much sense because everybody is like, feels like, oh, I should be going to the gym, or, that gym looks interesting. Will I go? And you just need that little extra nudge to get you there, and using Facebook Pixel to do it. It's such a great way to get the results you need. And it's, as you said, it's so inexpensive. I'm going to jump back a little bit to something we spoke about at the start now, Jake, if that's okay. And it's something that's probably very close to my own heart, which is sales and sales processes, because like you, I didn't start out in software and sales. I was actually a solicitor, and I left it, practicing being a lawyer about 5 years ago. And sales is something that came naturally enough to me, but it was something I had to learn as well. And I spent a lot of time studying it and learning techniques and reading books and practicing and things like that. And it's something that I encourage like anybody who goes into any type of business, no matter what it is, to make yourself good at selling, because sales to me, it's absolutely everything. Everything you do across every part of the business is a selling component to it. And then obviously, face-to-face sales is really tough. And that's what guys in gyms are faced with every time that they want to convert somebody into a member. So, maybe talk a little bit about, your processes, what you teach the guys, and sort of your experience of what you found people's sales process to be like now in gyms and studios.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, so this is definitely another big area that we're trying to help solve and trying to give as much insights to gyms. So say with all the clients that we have, we usually look at say the top 3 to 5% and why they are so successful from the leads that and the awareness that we get them from our system. And usually it comes down to the fact that again they have like a business process in place, which means they have enough resources in the right positions. But they have somebody that is consistently focusing on the sales process. All the best performing gyms that we work with have somebody that will consistently spend between 4 to 8 hours a day chasing up leads. So when you get a lead from social, then ideally you want to be trying to ring them. We always say within 15 minutes, but they've just applied on the mobile phone, so the best time is straight away because they're probably still on the phone. Just have a chat with them and find out why they're interested and not really talking about the product, talking about them and why are they interested and what problems do they face at the moment in terms of why they wouldn't want to come into the studio or why they've not trained in a while. So that's what we always suggest straight away. Not trying to sell at new leads, but just having a chat with them to find out why they're interested in coming in. We've actually brought in a couple of things, which would be like a lead nurture sequence, SMS and email to help gyms as well. To actually get those touch points, because on social you probably need 6 to 8 touch points on the sales process for somebody to actually give the details as a lead. When the gym gets the lead, then there's a nurture process which can be to make a sale can be 8 to 12 touch points, which a touch point would be SMS, emails, phone, and then a really underrated technique from gyms is actually using social media to actually connect with them again. So one of the best response rates that we see from gyms is when they get a lead and they manually WhatsApp the lead, because WhatsApp gets a really high response rate and they usually come back to the gym owner. So that's a really good tip. Add in leads on Facebook and Instagram, or add in leads on, to a Facebook group, to actually connect them with other members as well is going to help the gym. So they're all the touch points before somebody even maybe shows up in the gym. How are you going to nurture them and how are you going to connect with these leads again? So you don't actually lose contact and they actually show up in the studio. And what we believe in is that it's a sales funnel. So you need a certain amount of leads at the top of the funnel, which means you need a good offer on social to get X amount of leads, which means you're going to get X amount of those showing up, depending on how good the sales process is, and then X amount are going to convert again, depending on the sales process. But if you don't get the amount of leads that you need at the top, then you're definitely not going to get enough show-ups to have enough sales that you actually need to hit targets. And most gyms that we see are probably doing between 15 to maybe 30 memberships a month, but the price point's different with the gyms that we work with. And really what we aim to do is to really increase their leads. So if gyms are getting around on average 10 to 50 leads a month, which is probably the case, then really straight away what we want to do is increase those leads and get them leads that are people that are interested, the right age, that are close to the studio. And our record in terms of leads is, I think it's 600 or 590 in a month. Usually we do between 50 to 600 in a month for gyms. So on average, let's say 200. So if most gyms are getting 40, 50, then we can say we can increase your leads by, depends on the area, but let's just say on average 200 is what we're getting. So we're getting 200 leads. Then our aim is to get as many show-ups as possible. And show-up wise, you might get, looking at the data, potentially 30, 40%. So let's just say 80 people show up, max, maybe less. Then how many of those can you convert? So you want to be converting at least 20 of those leads. So you've made 20 sales, plus any other sales that you're getting from any other channels as well. But most gyms are only doing 20 sales. So what we aim to do is try and help gyms double overall sales. But how they're going to do that is by having always somebody that focuses on the sales process. And another big tip that we tell gyms straight away is that the biggest resistance you're going to have, especially probably in Ireland and in England, is that people are scared to go into a gym on their own. So when a salesperson brings up a lead, how are you going to get them to come into the studio? So it's going to be, can you ask them if they can bring any friends or any referrals with them? Because that's going to obviously get you more leads for free, and they're going to feel more comfortable coming into the studio. And the other resistance is going to be down to their fitness level. So getting somebody to try and book in straight away for a class sometimes might not work because they're like, well, yeah, I'll book in next week or I'll book in when I'm ready. Whereas if you break down the barrier even more and you schedule them in for a consultation, for say a 15-minute chat, they can actually, you can get them booked in on like a calendar, which we do in our system, like an automatic scheduling system. They book into the calendar, the lead would show up, and they'd have maybe a 15 to 30-minute consultation where the salesperson can speak to the lead, can find out why they're interested, what's the goals, what they're trying to get out of coming to the studio, and then you can kind of talk about examples as a salesperson as there's somebody similar to them who's been on the same journey and where they're at maybe 12 weeks on. So we always suggest trying to get people to come in as a consultation, ideally if the area is quite resistant to people actually just booking in and coming in, as that's going to get more short rates for the gym. And we also suggest the gyms, like as a salesperson, the best time to actually try and close them is probably on that first visit, because if you've got a 7-day trial, and you get them in, you don't really try and sell anything or get any commitments from them on that first day, then they might only come in for that class or one other class in the first week, which means towards the end of the week when you're going to do the sales pitch or you're going to try and get them on as a member, they might not be there again. So the best thing to try and do always is try and give them a tour, consultation, even before, if they've booked in online, when they come in, how can you try and get a commitment from them straight away? And if they're not ready, try and give them, another offer within 1 week that they can take so they know where they're at during that week. So they're probably the best techniques. And another really good one is, when you get a lead, say it's a 7-day free trial for a gym. That lead then has got a 7-day free trial, but there's no real urgency to come into the gym. So this is on more of a digital forefront. But what we would always suggest doing is trying to use like a bonus offer. Say like, if you come in the next 40 hours, we'll give you another week for free, or we'll give you X amount off your first month, or joining fee if you come in, or you get a free PT. Something to then close the loop between them giving the details online and getting a 7-day pass to actually coming into the studio. Because at the end of the day, we want to get more people into the gym.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because it's actually something we built into Glofox, because we noticed that like if people sign up and then they don't come, so we actually just built in a simple automated email where if somebody signs up for membership but doesn't book a class or whatever it is within X number of days, they'll get sent an automated email to try and encourage them to come in. So that's definitely something that we've seen in our analysis as well.
Nice.
I think what's really interesting there, Jake, is you're obviously in marketing and social, and a lot of your process is about trying to automate things and make it easier, but you still refer back to the importance of manual processes in sales. And I think we sometimes can rely too heavily on technology and automation, when sometimes like sales is a human, relationship. It's person to person. And even like, you're sending a WhatsApp, it's a personal WhatsApp, somebody has sat down and texted it. And I think that makes a world of difference when it comes to sales and how somebody will feel about a business when they finally decide to go ahead and join it.
Yeah, just little tips that I've seen before as well that gyms have done. Say if it's like a 1 week free, and then they give, say, if you come in the next 40 hours, you'll get 50% off your first month. People then, there's a much higher chance they're going to show up. When they come into the studio, you need to keep people in the gym for 4 to 6 weeks, so they're in a habit, they get results, they start to know people, they feel accountable. That's how you're going to keep them long term, by keeping them in for that initial 4 to 6 week period. But another good one that I see in the sales process is, a salesperson or even the owner manually WhatsApping or manually texting them 2 weeks during that trial period, 4 weeks, just seeing how they're getting on, because the majority of gyms won't be providing that level of service. So the more community feel that you can make it, the more like opportunities you're going to get of actually growing your business as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. So we actually we had some audience questions. Am I right that we reached out to people? Yeah,
but before the episode, we fielded some surveys on our Facebook actually and our Instagram. So drinking our own Kool-Aid, I suppose. And we wanted to go through some of the results with you. And one big thing that came up is content creation. And you've mentioned this a couple times actually around video content and how important that is on social media. If just looking at my Facebook feed, it's mostly video. Yeah. So I think that we all sort of know how important it is, but it's definitely something that's daunting, I think, for people. I mean, even for us, we struggle with how do we create this? How polished does it have to be? How perfect? So if you have any tips on, how people can just get started, I think that would be really handy from a content creation perspective.
Yeah, definitely. I think like people worry that it has to be perfect. And content doesn't have to be perfect. It's better to do it and then keep getting better. Like if you look at my content from when I started to now, it's probably not that good, and I probably laugh at it myself. So it's like you have to start somewhere, and then obviously you'll get more comfortable on camera. You can get better equipment as you go. You can learn more, but the most important thing to start with, I would say, is for a gym especially, is to talk about the product. Even using an iPhone, you can do Facebook Lives, you can do Instagram Lives, as that's going to help you as well on the platform and boost like results when it comes to paid advertising if you start doing that. But the most important thing is to actually talk about. I'm sure as a gym owner or a fitness studio owner, they're probably getting asked similar questions a lot of the time from customers. So you should be writing down those questions and then talking about those questions as content back to your consumers, because that's the stuff that they're interested in. So that's number one tip in terms of like how you can create content on a phone. Other content that I'd be looking at creating would be, a personal like brand of, say, the owner of the gym or the head trainer, because people are going to buy into people and trainers. Like one of the most important things for a gym when it comes to retention is going to be how strong the trainers are as well, and the relationship they build with their members. So if you've got, a really strong trainer, then I would be asking that trainer to start producing more content around the kind of questions that are being asked from the customers. If you've got challenges coming up, you can give them tips. But to start off with, I would always recommend just using an iPhone and keeping the cost down. If you wanted to run like actual ads like what we do, then I would always recommend making more professional content. But the content really needs to be pretty simple around the product, around the offer that you're providing, around the product. Around video of the product as well. So talking about what the product is, the story of it, talking about the offer, and actually showing the gym off with people in it. Because when I said video content before is our strategy, we will use images and like carousel images at times on social. But the problem I see with a lot of people on social, they put on like a picture at the start of a strategy. And if you use an image at the start of any strategy, then you can't actually analyze any data, because all you can see is people that have clicked on an image. Whereas if you use video, you can start to understand how long people are engaging on that initial video. And then it's like, okay, now we know who's actually interested a little bit. So this group of people that have watched 75% will now see this video, and this group of people that have only seen 25% will now see this. So you can really start to tailor it depending on where that consumer is in the journey as well. But that's more on paid advertising. Whereas organic posting, then I would probably say the best content is to talk about what your consumers want to know. They will be the questions that you're getting asked a lot in the gym.
Yeah. That's really cool. I've never actually thought about using video as a way of gathering more data. That's genius.
It's the best way, yeah. It's the most.
You're right.
What happens is, what people do is they don't know who's interested, who's interested in the product, and they will spend a lot of money to start with, say on a campaign, and run it, and say they'll waste a lot of money because they don't actually know the right kind of people that are clicking in and engaging. Whereas if you spend less and start slow and start to understand who's engaging, and then start to warm the audience up so they start to understand the product and like it and trust it, then when you actually know who's interested, you can double down and spend your money in the right places and get better results.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about building that trust and consistency over time. And video is a really good way to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think also, just to point out, just get started, I think
get started. And testimonials, video testimonials are so important, in success stories, people that have changed their lives from fitness in the gym, like that kind of stuff is really going to help studios get more customers in the area as well. So I'd really recommend trying to get as many success stories or testimonials as you can in video. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just realized I've been doing a lot of nodding during the recording of this episode, which is not great for a podcast, but let the record state that I'm in agreement with everything that's been said. Look, we're running close to time and to the end. I think just at this point, like if after listening to this, if any gyms or studios aren't picking up the phone to call you guys, they really need to have a think about it. So we just have a kind of a closing question as well, sort of to bookend the podcast that we're going to ask everyone. And it's basically, Jake, that if you could go back to when you started your business, either give yourself a bit of advice or change something something you would do differently. Can you think of anything that would fulfill that criteria?
Yeah, definitely. I usually try and review everything on a monthly basis. with the business, because it's not like, people see social and people see all like, the videos and think you're killing it and this and that. But as you guys know, I'm sure Auntie, it's difficult and it's challenging, and you do come up against a lot of problems and you have to work hard. So social doesn't probably show off everything that's going on within a business. But my thing that I'd probably change would be that I moved from Sydney, went travelling, didn't work for a certain period of time, and then just moved to London and got my own flat, which was expensive. I wasn't making, didn't take a wage for probably 18 months. So I kind of put a lot of pressure on myself by doing that. And if I went back in time, I probably would have maybe rented a room and shared with somebody else. But again, if I look at it, then, I didn't have as many distractions. I had to work even harder because I had to get there quicker. So you can kind of say, yeah, change it. But in a way, it probably did actually help me do more and work even harder. But definitely one piece of advice would be business costs, but even your personal costs. If you start a business, then you really want to sacrifice as much as you can for as long as you can to actually grow your business and focus on that one thing, because you've got too many distractions or too many costs, and that's really usually the biggest problem to a startup is finance, as to why they fail. So definitely focus on costs and keeping your finances down, and obviously work as hard as you can would be my advice.
Yeah, I think that's so true, because there's so many extra hours in the day if you can find them to, explore business opportunities or doing something different on top of, even if you have a regular job and other commitments that, if you make it work, you can definitely find the time to go and do these things and put yourself in a really good place before you kind of take the final plunge to start something yourself. Do you maybe just want to call out like what's the best way to get in touch with you and your company if somebody wants to reach out?
Probably the best way to get into contact with us would be our website, which would be www.onelifesocialmedia.com, where you can apply there, or you can email me on jake@onelifesocialmedia.com.
Excellent. Well, look, thanks a million for coming on to the podcast. It was really enjoyable, as I said. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Speak to you soon.
Thank you.